Welcome to another episode of The Shift with Elena. In this conversation, I talk with Bert Zevzavadjian. He's a guru in career planning and personal growth. We dove into the necessity of long-term career planning, the challenges in assessing coaching, and the power of platforms like LinkedIn for professional growth. Bert also shared his passion for helping people navigate their careers with the Do the Work project, emphasizing on the importance of adaptability and understanding our strengths. So we explore how to live fiercely, pursue our passions, and the importance of compassion in today's world. This conversation is really interesting for anybody who's kind of trying to navigate life in their career and really just trying to find that fulfilling career path. Enjoy it. Bert, welcome to the Shift podcast.
Thank you, Elena. I appreciate you having me here. I'm excited to be here.
Me too. I've had the pleasure to get to know you in different capacities over the last month or so, and I'm really excited for my audience to get to know you. And I think you bring a wealth of just insights and background and just your kindness and your career
Oh, well,
story. And a lot of things that you do are just by nature inspiring and very heartfelt, so to say. So I look forward for my audience to get to know you through this conversation and even onwards. But, share a little bit more about just, tell me a little bit more of your story. You have
yeah,
a rich history. Talk to me a little bit more about that.
sure. And before I do, let me say thank you as well. The feeling is absolutely mutual. Certainly, everything that you're doing is inspirational to me as well. And I think anytime there's an opportunity to collaborate with great people like yourself, let's do it.
Thank you.
Right? Yeah. So a little bit more about me. For the better part of 2 decades, the past 17 years specifically, I've been an employee of LinkedIn, the world's largest professional networking company. Had a multitude of roles, all within the sales capacity. So everything from go-to-market sales strategy to business development to client acquisition to sales process, sales coaching, people development, performance, really anything around the monetization efforts of LinkedIn, but always while ensuring focus on delivering a positive experience to the billion plus members within our global ecosystem and the thousands of corporate clients that we're fortunate enough to serve. So that's a little bit about me, at least for almost the past 20 years.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I mean, my audience knows I'm a huge fan of LinkedIn. I love the platform.
Nice.
But you also do a lot of work with athletes, and you also, and I wanted you to bring that in because I think there's a lot of connection between the professional world and the sports world, and I think
Mhm.
sometimes we don't see it. So talk to me a little bit. What inspired you to, I guess, do the sports part that you do?
Yeah. So uh, I'm a coach by nature. I'm a coach by heart. So I've had the good fortune of being a sales coach, but my entire life I've always tried to lead from the front, and absolutely believe in doing well by doing good and paying it forward for the greater good. And like going back to LinkedIn, I had this amazing opportunity to create the sales coaching program at LinkedIn. And that gave me an opportunity to really touch a lot of people. And by virtue of that, I'm also passionate, generally speaking, about helping others achieve success and maximizing their potential personally and professionally. I am an avid sports fan, but that just happened to be um, coincidental. I have for really the past couple of years a colleague of mine, legendary gentleman named Rob Humphrey. So I'll throw him a plug. He and I started a passion project. It's called the Do Work Project. And the Do Work Project is actually the largest online LinkedIn career community. And we're all about doing keynotes and coaching and clinics um, and creating successful outcomes, mostly around helping professionals create successful career outcomes. And again, it all ties back to helping individuals achieve success and maximize their potential personally and professionally. I've had the good fortune of having been a sales and career coach, not just internally at LinkedIn, but externally as well. And so I've had the privilege of really working with some of the world's most successful professionals, from entrepreneurs to executives, to your point, professional athletes, U.S. Olympians, some of the world's best salespeople. And in probably for the past year and a half or two, We've been doing a lot of work with current and former NFL players, really helping them uh, really kind of stay true to their values and pursuing their purpose and their passion, and really start thinking about what the second half of their careers are going to look like um,
Mm-hmm.
post their official sports career.
Mm-hmm.
And we find a lot of like genuine impact and authenticity in really helping what are great men that we may only see on TV and perhaps root for or root against, depending on who your favorite team is. But they're so much more than that. Like they're great men with great minds and great hearts. And I'm proud to be part of that community and associate with a community called it's actually called PAC. It's the pro athlete community. And my colleague Rob and I are blessed to be part of it and really help these great men do great things with the rest of their lives on and off the field.
That's amazing. I'm curious if you've seen, just in your whether it was a LinkedIn or externally, if you've seen that there's a theme of people who are high achievers, people that are executives that are kind of, reaching their career goals, right? Like
Mhm.
growing and so on, getting what they want essentially out of their careers. Is there a theme, or maybe in athletics, right? Is there a theme of
Mm.
characteristics that you have seen across board, like from these high performers?
Yeah, so great question. I'll give you my personal experience
Yeah.
in having coached, literally hundreds of high performing professionals. I think the theme, generally speaking, is that they're high skill, high will. They have a desire to be great.
Mm-hmm.
They're open to being coached. They're very goal oriented. um, there's probably three, at a minimum, three top of mind, like very specific skills or traits that I believe, high performing individuals possess, particularly athletes. And it absolutely cross sections and cross pollinates into the business world. I find individuals that have high emotional intelligence, high EQ, right? Their ability to kind of read people and read a room and know what to say and not to say, when to say it, et cetera. The example I give is let's use athletes just by way of example.
Mm-hmm.
Their ability to read a locker room, right? And really understand their teammates and reporters and media and their coaches, right? And a leadership team, um, within their franchise. They're able to take that skill, that ability to like thrive in a locker room and really have it like transfer seamlessly and thrive into a conference room or a boardroom. So I think high EQ is one of those definitive like common denominators that I see that most high performers and very successful individuals, men and women,
Mm-hmm.
possess. I think a second inherent skill is very successful people tend to be highly adaptable,
Mm,
right? They're goal oriented. They have a plan. They have a means to execute the plan. They're fully prepared to execute the plan. But like the plan doesn't always work out, according, right? Things
yeah.
happen, right? So if we liken it to a football field or an ice rink or, a tennis court, like you have a plan, but it doesn't always work out that way. So you have to adapt, right? And I think having the ability to stay focused, um, see the forest through the trees, and execute and adapt in the midst of challenges, right? So I think
Mhm.
that that ability to be highly adaptable is absolutely inherent skill that I see from the most successful people. I think the third skill, amongst others, is they're also like highly disciplined people, right? Yes, they work hard. Yes, they work smart. But in terms of the ability to stay really focused and disciplined, right? Because it's not easy, right? And if individuals have aspirations to lead a team, to lead an organization, to show up every day as the best version of themselves, right?
Mhm.
It's not easy to do.
Mhm.
It's hard work. Nothing's handed to anybody, regardless of who you are, regardless of your God given maybe ability that you were blessed with to play football or baseball or basketball or or depending on the sport, but you still have to show up every day as the best version of yourself, and that requires a lot of discipline. So those to me would just be a handful, in addition to how driven they are and goal oriented they are.
Mhm.
and really that they want to be great and they choose to be great. They wake up every day choosing greatness.
Hmm. I'm curious if you've seen any difference. I'm curious what kind of population you work with in terms of generational differences. Are there generational differences? Because I
Mhm.
totally agree with you in terms of the main points and the adaptability in particular, the ability to kind of manage change. And we see this more and more in the corporate world as a need as well, because we're just, I mean, everything's just changing
Mhm.
so fast. Like, we can't even keep up. And yet it seems that people are less flexible, and some generations are becoming less flexible, or I'm just curious, like, just your thoughts
Yeah.
on it. I have my own obviously personal opinions about it, but
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
curious from your experience.
So another great question. I happen to be a dad of three college age children.
Mhm.
So it definitely hits home, right, in terms of the different perspectives and perspectives, excuse me, and purviews, and really assumptions. And I think assumption might be a key word, because often individuals, they don't know what they don't know. And they think they
Mm,
may know certain things based on perception, and they have assumptions about certain things, whether it's a job, a career, their ability to thrive in a workforce, or within an athletic field. Um, so one of the things, going back to this passion project called the Do Work Project, we work with a myriad of aspiring professionals, right? Um, so early stage professionals, college students, like really helping them make the successful transition from college to career, so that they are um, uh, gainfully supported, and acquire the skills necessary to successfully enter the workplace, and not just enter the workplace, but thrive in the workplace. We like to say, crush the workplace, right, and secure
mm-hmm,
the bag. So you have those, like, I want to call them entry level, but recent college grads. You also have individuals that are like mid career, who might be looking to pivot, right? Just completely change jobs, careers, industries. And I think, given the macroeconomic climate, what we also see within a Do Work project is we have individuals who, maybe formerly a stay-at-home mom, is looking to transition back into the workforce, or maybe there was a dad, or a gentleman who's, again, what I said earlier, just looking to completely scrap current career and pivot and pursue something completely different. So the reason why I share that with you is because there is an inherent understanding, right, to eliminate assumptions and identify and understand what these transferable skill sets are. Because everyone has a gift, everyone has a skill, and I think the importance is, like, what are you good at, and understanding what you're really good at. And one of the other things that we coach aspiring professionals, particularly the younger generation, is not so much like, what job do you want, because they really don't know. I mean, look, I'll be 55 in May, and do I even really know, like, what I want to do? I think I have a better perspective than most, but um, I think it's more about, how do you want to live your life, and what do you want your life to look like,
mm-hmm,
and what do you feel that you're good at, and knowing who you are. And we talk a lot here at the Do Work Project about dreaming big and doing the work. And this is probably something that is going to resonate with you, just given your function, within your organization, and getting paid what you're worth. Because I
mm-hmm,
think there's a significant misunderstanding um, for individuals, particularly recent college grads, about like what the market will bear and what they believe their market value is. I
yeah,
see you kind of shaking your head a little bit, so you
yeah,
probably see it every day. But I think it's really important to dream big, do work, know your value, get paid what you're worth, but continue to live the life that you aspire to live, and that means pursuing your purpose and pursuing your passion, and doing it with, really, without fear.
yeah. No, I yeah, I totally relate to that part. As you're speaking, what's interesting is that, and this is just a thought. I don't know if there might be a question afterwards. It's
Mhm.
just something that came across my mind. So I remember when I was in college, I felt like I didn't have necessarily the resources to, I don't know if I didn't have the resource. I didn't know where to look, whatever it
Mhm.
was. And I feel like today there's so many more resources for personal development, professional development. I feel like that world has grown so much since, I
Mhm,
mean, I was in college 15, 16 years ago, right? And so I feel that that has exploded so much, yet it's still the hardest question in terms of like, how do you figure out what you want to do? How
mhm,
do you figure, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's just an existential crisis that everybody goes through at one point or another. And it's
mhm,
very difficult to do. And that's a part of, in organizations, there's a lot of struggles in mentorship programs because it's like the mentees sometimes, or the coachee wants a plan and they want this worked out plan, but it's like, no, you have to do your own work. And it's almost like
mhm,
as if it's not given to them, to some individuals, right? It's like nothing will happen. And I always reflect, I'm like, okay, when I was at that age, what was I doing? And I felt I will always say, like, I was a lost soul in my 20s.
mhm.
Like, I was like just trial and error through everything. But it's like now I feel there's so much more, so much more access to things, yet it's still one of the harder things for us to answer as people.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great narrative, and I think you're spot on. I tend to believe that it goes back to what I said earlier, and that's why I don't put a lot of stock in like what job you want to do,
Mm,
right? Or what I mean, people want their career to look a certain way, and I totally understand that. But we put a lot more emphasis on again, how do you want to live your life? Kind of design your life. What do you want it to look like?
yeah.
Um, I think part of it too is understanding now, right? If we look back, I graduated over 30 years ago. You know, career paths are not as linear as they used to be, right?
Mhm,
Back in
mhm,
the day, like when I was in college, the expectation was, well, you get a job, you get an entry level job, you work hard, you work smart, you contribute, you develop a reputation as someone who gets stuff done, you solve problems, you accelerate opportunities, like you build your resume, you build your personal brand and your reputation so that others around you say, hey, this is a a gentleman, a young lady that we want on our team. Like we want to build things with this individual. So the thought process then was you kind of start and then, fast forward 10, 20, 30 years, individuals retire potentially from the same companies that they started with.
mhm.
It's the polar opposite today, right?
Right.
It's understand that your first job is won't be your last job,
Mhm.
right? And if we were to map this, I know it's might be hard to visualize, but if we were to kind of graph this or plot this, it would look like a pinball
It's like a
game.
zigzag.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it would be bouncing all over the
Yeah.
place. So, but those experiences are incredibly important and often, and I share this with my own children and their friends. It's equally as important to understand what you don't want to do, right?
Mhm.
As it is to understand what it is that you might want to do. And so that trial and error that you had mentioned when you were in college, I think that's an amazing place to be, right?
Mhm.
Because it's the like exploratory version of yourself, and
Mhm.
maybe doing it without fear and saying, I'm going to be vulnerable enough to recognize that I'm not sure I know what I want to do. I'd like for it to look this way,
Mhm.
right? This is the type of success I like to have in my life, right? And fast forward, this is how I see myself in 5 years and 10 years and 20 years. And I don't mean the old interview question, where do you see yourself in five
Mhm.
years in this role? I mean, where do you see your life in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years?
Yeah.
And so, but I do think that this day and age, to your point, there are a lot more resources. I think like brick and mortar, when you're in a college, you have your career services and career development teams. We work, Rob and I, my colleague at the work project, we work with career service professionals all the time. The challenge, of course, is that their resources are very limited. There's only a handful of those individuals
Right.
for higher learning institutions that have 20, 30, 40, 50,000 students,
Mhm.
right? So getting that sort of access and that personal like coaching and that personal experience to really precisely define what it is that you think you want to do and what you might be good at, et cetera. I think that even though that's a resource available, incredibly challenging.
Mhm.
Um, Social media in some ways helps, in many ways it doesn't. And there's also a lot of e-learning opportunities. So quick plug for LinkedIn, right?
Mhm.
So LinkedIn Learning. has an amazing library, amazing content for individuals that want to explore their curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
right? And LinkedIn does amazing work. We think about LinkedIn as a professional networking company, but we're a data company. And we have billions and billions of points of data that we could extrapolate. And part of that is really what the economic graph looks like and what career pathing looks like. So if you're a junior or senior in college or a recent grad, or maybe you're 5 years out or 10 years out, you say, this is interesting to me. Well,
Mm-hmm.
like LinkedIn Learning could plot what a potential career path might look like, but more so, what skills are going to be required to get from point A to point B. And
Mm-hmm.
then that willingness to invest in yourself and continuously learn, right? And
Yeah.
get from maybe a lost soul, like, trial and error,
Mm-hmm.
to let me put that one foot of courage forward, that one foot of fear forward, and just
Mm-hmm.
continue to take the steps. And again, understand uh, what it is you might want to do and what it is that you don't want to do. And I am a perfect example of someone who graduated many years before you, right? And I was influenced by Wall Street. I was influenced by finance, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And so I thought, well, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to major in finance and I'm going to work in Wall Street. And without knowing the why behind it, I was very self-centered. And then I got to college. I went to an amazing school, amazing professors and teachers and community. But I'm like, I don't like this. This is not what I want to do. I can never see myself doing this. Right. So I was a little bit more proactive where I was also very involved in school. I was the president of my class and, I was very involved in the athletic programs, captain of my team. So I tended to like naturally want to network.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just identify professors and other leaders within a school administration, say, help me. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to do this. And I think my parents are going to hit me upside the head, right? If I graduate with no interest in a potential job. So I started to think if they help me and having good parents and having a good network of trusted people that I cared about and cared about me, that would give me like honest and sage advice. And they allowed me to be me and pursue my purpose. So, and
Yeah.
ultimately, I'm so glad I had that opportunity because here I am.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I'm starting as the more I have these conversations with people who have like lots more experience than I do, the more it's just one of those things. It's just part of the human experience, and we have to go through that. But to your point, to have, people. One, I think environment is everything. I
Mhm.
think it's maybe not everything, but it's a huge part of just any journey. And I do agree that trial and error is probably the best way. I've had I did a whole talk about this, but I've had 17 jobs before the age of 27. So I
Wow.
work, yeah, I've tried, I've always had a, since 15, I had a job. And I've done like, and I always say like those are like, my first professional job was after college, but I've had so many other jobs that formed who I am today
Mhm.
because they were customer service oriented. They were dealing with the, retail industry and restaurants and hotels and all of that. And you don't learn people as well as you do in those industries. That's probably, I would say, everybody needs to be working in some kind of hospitality or retail because you learn more about people's psychology than anything else. And I really
Yeah.
credit those jobs, like those
Nice.
random 17 jobs that I've done. So I think I experienced a lot of what I don't want to do. I've also had other jobs like in other areas and other industries that are more closer to like professional jobs as well. And so I definitely know what I don't want to do. So if people who are listening, I think that's solid advice that you said. Like
Yeah.
knowing what you don't want to do is just as important.
I I think your story is amazing, and probably a different venue to have the conversation. But 17 jobs before the age of 26. That's pretty. That's pretty amazing. Finding the bandwidth to do that, and I think to your point, really to your point, learning about yourself and the psychology of others, right? And
Yeah.
ultimately, you know, right now you live in your best life, right? You're very aspirational and you inspire so many people. And you're doing what we like to say is very purposeful. You're pursuing your purpose and pursuing your passion, So each one of those 17 jobs, we talked about the zigzags in a
Mhm.
pinball machine, right? That ultimately is what gets you closer to the dream,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So very
No.
cool.
Yeah, no,
Very cool.
absolutely, absolutely. And to the credit of LinkedIn, I use LinkedIn Learning quite a bit. I think it's phenomenal. I love LinkedIn just for the amount of the community content that's on there as well. And I think that, as long as you curate your network and, and so on, I think it's like one of the best just learning tools in general,
Mhm,
not only networking tools, but sometimes I catch up on reports on there and all
mhm.
kinds of stuff. And so
Yeah,
no, it's a I think what I'm kind of sensing from this whole conversation is like it's just about curiosity. If you're curious enough, the information is there, you know?
absolutely. No, I think
So,
again, well said. LinkedIn, and again, obviously, I have a bias because not just they're my employer, but because really, it's become part of my DNA, right? Like
mhm.
LinkedIn is my go-to,
Yeah.
whether it's news, feed, content, creating content, collaboration. It's just a wealth of opportunity that, and this is not a sales pitch, for LinkedIn,
Right,
but
right.
but really speaking on point to the theme of curiosity, like explore your curiosity. And there's a billion members, over a billion members within LinkedIn's ecosystem, and each one is uniquely special,
Mhm.
and they're sharing their gifts, right? And it's an opportunity to create a cohort, a community, a trusted advisorship, collaborate, learn, put your best foot forward, contribute to the ecosystem, right?
Mhm.
Don't just take from the ecosystem. And I understand there's a lot of value in learning, of course, but contribute, right? Like be a valuable member of the ecosystem. I mean, we strive every day at LinkedIn to stay true to our mission and our vision. And our mission is connect the world's professionals so that they can become more productive and successful every day. And that means so many different things to so many different people, depending on what's
Mhm.
important to them. But take advantage of that opportunity. It's there, right? And learn and give and take and share. And the vision is, creating economic opportunity for every member of the global workplace. And that's there also,
Mhm.
right? So, like, that's why I tend to have a little bit of a bias with LinkedIn because um, you know, eh, yes, I'm in sales at LinkedIn, but I don't feel as though like I'm selling a widget or I'm selling a
Right.
product or a service. I really feel like I'm helping impact the lives of so many people and help be a catalyst for growth and change for the betterment of people, and for the greater
Mhm.
good. So, yeah, I'm obviously a big fan of LinkedIn. You are too. That's
Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah,
absolutely.
so it's all good. All good.
Yeah, no, it's great stuff, great stuff. I'm curious with all the different hats that you wear, how do you
Mm,
balance it all, like health wise, because that's important, right?
mm,
And we can love what we do, but stress creeps in. And it's
yeah.
something I've been learning a lot lately and just realizing that the modern world of work is not made for people, let alone a woman. So, and
Mm,
I'm just curious, like how do you balance all of the being a father, all the different hats that you wear?
mm. There's so many ways I want to answer this question. There's so many ways I want to answer this question, Elena. Um, I did want to ask you a question though, if that's okay,
Yeah,
if
of
that's if
course.
if that's permissible here.
Of course.
Um, so you had said, so before I answer, you had said that the workforce isn't necessarily set up for the modern woman.
Mhm.
What exactly do you mean by that, and how is that affecting you personally?
Yeah, so something, I mean, I think I've mentioned in my other maybe a couple episodes is I'm starting to realize that maybe I should start a family soon. And
Mm,
starting to come to, and so I've been doing a lot of kind of, and I was always like, I'm a girl's girl, I'm like women, we can do it all. I was that person. And the more I start to wrap my head around being a mother and being, you know what I mean, just having my own family and all of that, the more I start to realize how difficult it is as a woman to especially somebody like myself who also wears many hats. And it's like you
mm,
can't really have it all. And I'm okay with not having it all, but even having half of it is so stressful because the world of work, I mean, even just from maternity leave
Mhm.
stuff, right? Like from like the policies to just the expectations, the unnecessary um politics that go on in a corporate world that add to that stress, and just like to, it's a game. You got to play a corporate game. You want to reach, you know what I mean? And it's very hard
Mhm.
to play it if it's not a priority in your life. And I'm just, so that's kind of the view that I see it from.
Yeah.
And also in a remote environment, being very sedentary, like sitting down, like I have to
Mhm.
consciously remind myself to get up and move and use
Yeah.
my standing desk. And so there's just a lot of health aspects around the way we work, and
Mhm.
unnecessary meetings, and just like a lot of things, just, across board, that I feel were
Yeah.
just, it never really, because I'm such a hustle mode all the time, and I
Mhm.
love what I do, and so I don't feel it until I'm like, well, wait a minute, but what if I had to attend to a child, or, and now I'm like thinking about these things and realize how hard it is to do that, in at least
Yeah.
in America.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Really, really. I'm grateful that you shared that with me. Um, again, there's so many ways I still want to answer this question. Uh, I'm not here to give advice,
Hmm.
right? But start a family.
Yeah.
Do it. If that's what you want to do it. No hesitation, no pause, no fear. Don't worry about anything else. I'm a family first guy. One of the best decisions I ever made in my life was getting married to my wife.
Hmm.
The absolute best decision I ever made, and my wife would give me a pass on this, is having children.
Hmm.
I'm incredibly blessed and fortunate to have a wife who's beautiful woman inside and out, and my best friend, and we're raising three incredible children. It's not easy to raise children these days for all the reasons that you shared, male or female.
Hmm.
Of my three children, I have a daughter, sophomore in college, and I would love, by the way, to introduce her to you, because I it's important to me that I surround my children with great people, great hearts and great minds. And you absolutely fall into the category as a great
Mm,
person.
very kind. Thank you.
So yeah, no, I would absolutely I love to introduce my daughter to you. Um, but you know, start a family. For
Hmm.
me, as crazy as my life has been, and as kind of headstrong and focused as I've been throughout my career, it's always about family first. And um, you know, taking the call. And what I mean by that is, far too often I've seen men and women alike, when we're in a meeting and the husband's calling, the wife's calling, the spouse is calling, the partner's calling, child's calling, and they kind of, press, voicemail
Hmm.
or a
Hmm.
message. Like, I'll give you an example. I appreciate the time that you and I are spending together right now. If I get one of four phone calls that come in, I'm going to ask to excuse myself.
Hmm.
If it's one of my three children, my wife, I'm going to take the call. Now, I
Hmm.
lost both my parents, um, unfortunately, but had they still be alive, and if they were still alive, that would be one of six calls
Yeah.
that I would absolutely take. So, it's family first. It's be intentional. Um, you know, you're not given a handbook on how to be a parent. You could read about it, you could hear about it, people could tell you all these amazing stories about what it's like to be a parent. But until you're a parent of your own, that tidal wave of emotions and thought processes and excitement and love and fear that
Hmm.
you have, that never goes away, right? It never. My children are in their 20s, and I'm still quite concerned and fearful, but proud, right? And full of love. But yeah, it's very similar to what you and I talked about when you were in college, thinking that you were
Hmm.
a lost soul in trial and
Yeah.
error. You weren't sure. Like, you did it, you
Yeah.
figured it out, right? And earlier I said it, look at you now. Like, if that's what you want to do, and you want to, create life and share your love and create opportunities for your loved ones,
Yeah.
do it, and always take the call, and always be intentional, and always be present. Life and work, and I think really everything is about people. It's not about the job. It's not
Agreed.
about what you're selling or the company you're representing or the function within the company. It's about the people. And I think surrounding yourself with good people is not just um, aspirational. I think you should do it in a very intentional way. Earlier,
Hmm.
we talked about like the network of people, um, and what better way to really create right an expanded network of you, like like your children.
Of course.
And to
Yeah.
me, I would just like I get very emotional when it comes to family because at the end of the day, it's what it's all about. And I think that's probably why I try to look at others as part of my extended family. And I don't say that like in a corny way, but I think
Hmm.
that's probably why I really try to um, like pursue this purpose of mine, which is really I want to see people be happy and I want to see people achieve success, whatever that looks like for them, whatever their definition of success looks like. For you, like I know you're incredibly aspirational and I know you have professional goals, but this goal that you just shared with me, like thinking about something like start a family and you're going to be a great mom and you're going to have great children and you're going to do beautiful, wonderful things together for the rest of your life. And you're not going to get the time back ever. And that's something that I struggle with as a father. Like, holy smokes. Like I had 3 kids in college now. What happened? Right? Um, and it's awesome and it's scary. So
Yeah.
go for it, Elena. Let's
Sold,
go.
sold. Okay,
Nice.
I'll
All
get
right,
on it.
cool. Cool, cool, cool. Great.
Yeah, no, it's and it's just it's I think it's just also, which is why likewise to you, I do a lot of work with youth because I
Mhm,
think that there's a lot of noise in social media and there's a lot of messaging in the media that I definitely fell for when I was in my 20s about being the strong independent woman, and that's great if that's for somebody, and that's awesome, but I think that we need to also realize, to your point, that family is important, and not even just on the family aspect, but today we are more lonely as a society. We're more depressed, more stressed out. And a big
mhm,
part of this because we're so disconnected from others. And so everything you're saying is beyond just it's just our health. Our
mhm,
that social piece is a huge part of our health, and
mhm.
and wellness and longevity. We need to have that love, and that the family around us. So I have my own issues with the mainstream media and the messages that they put out there and the social media as well.
Mhm.
And I think that it's easy to get caught up on all of that, and yeah, so anyway, and I think we don't think
Yeah,
about family as more like even like health, for our health. you know Mm.
yeah. Mm, well said. Again, it deeply resonates with me. What I would say, not that I have a response to that, but to add to it is I think, exercising compassion, like
Mm.
self-compassion and compassion for others is really, really important. And it's something that really took me a long time to learn and really hitting pause and breathing and staying in the moments and really exercising self-compassion because to your point, there's a lot of things going on in our world that could, if we really looked at it from not a pessimistic or cynic way or a cynical way, but just if you were to try to find the negativity in it,
Mhm.
there's a lot of stuff going on in the world that is absolutely detrimental to the health, the well-being of every person in this world.
Mhm.
And, to your point, the younger generation being consumed with social media and being consumed with their telephone and, lacking in my opinion and my experience, just the social awareness and the social skills. Um, I think that in itself is challenging. And you could absolutely see, particularly post COVID, how isolated individuals could feel. I mean, these were, you know, independent, loving souls, children, people of all ages that went from going outside, being in the park, going to a game, going to a dance, going to work, going to school, and just having it all shut down and learning virtually from your bedroom or from the kitchen table and the isolation is I mean, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, having to reconnect with the world and re-engage with people now, it's certainly not easy. And that's why I do think it's, put that what I said earlier, put that forward of fear, take that one step of fear, take that one step of, like freedom, um, and exercise compassion, self-compassion, compassion for others. As much as we talk about pursuing our purpose and pursuing our passion, like we have to help people along the way, right? It's
Right.
not about like what's in it for me and this is what I want to do as a job, as a career, what I want from my life. Because how much more can you get put yourself in a silo than
Right.
that, right? And it really is about like, doing well by doing good, paying it forward, helping others achieve success, you know, rise people up, because we all going to need it at some point in our lives. We're going to need the help,
Mm-hmm.
and just help a lot of people along the way. Exercise compassion, and I don't know if that's the answer to the world's problems,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's certainly a good collective start.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think if we all just think that way, it'd be just a slightly better place.
Yeah,
But the world is great as it is, of course, but we could all do better for sure.
yeah,
It's been a soulful conversation to say the least, and I'm sure it's one of many that we're going to have.
yeah.
And the last question I ask all of my guests, what is one question you wish people would ask themselves more often?
Mm, just one. Uh, I think like, what are you grateful for?
Mm,
And like, what are you really grateful for? And how does that tie into what your day look like, right? So if you have aspirations, you have goals, you have values, like are you living your life in alignment with your gratitude or what's important to you and what your values are? And I think, that that purposeful alignment, like, and literally, when I wake up in the morning, I'm grateful. I am grateful. Um, and when I go to bed at night, I'm also grateful. But
mhm,
I also take inventory of my day. Like, what am I grateful for? What did I do? Like, did I actually put into practice what I preach? Did I really help others? Did I exercise self compassion? Did I exercise compassion for others? Earlier I talked to you about my family. Like, I'm grateful for my family. Did I talk to my children today? What sort of meaningful conversation did I have with my wife or interaction with my wife? Because she's busy, I'm busy, the kids are busy, so I think just what are you grateful for, and are you living your life on the daily in alignment with your values and what's important to you?
mhm. Beautiful
Yeah,
question. Well, today I'm grateful for this conversation, among many other things, but this one in particular.
yeah. As am
So
I.
thank you, thank you for your time. And again, I think we'll have many more conversations, hopefully in the future to come.
Yeah, 100%. Elaine, I can't thank you enough. To you and to your listeners, just you are creating this an absolutely amazing platform and venue and forum for uh, like-minded people to really share, and hopefully more people ingratiate themselves and embrace all the goodness that you're giving out, because it's there. And I hope people you know connect with you as well.
Thank you.
All right, cool.